Welcome to the Performance Enhancing Podcast. It's like steroids for your brain. A podcast for people that want the best info, but just don't have the time. Get your podcast fix with the Cliff Notes versions of your favorite podcasts. No fluff, just the actionable golden nuggets. Having this much knowledge at your fingertips should be downright illegal. So get ready for another dose of Performance Enhancing Podcast with Satori Prime. Here's your host, Ilan Ferdman.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Performance Enhancing Podcast. I have a guest from very, very far away right now, and really excited. Love technology, right? Here we are. You're in India, I'm in New York, and it's still working.
It's great.
So who I have with me today is Ramdas. We're actually in a really high-end mastermind together, but he's the creator of one of the coolest ideas I've ever come across. We're going to talk a lot about it later today. It's called the 5-Minute Journal. You guys have all heard me preach about it in some other podcasts. But what I love about UJ is he's got a very interesting background in a lot of different areas of education. So behavioral science, marketing, hypnosis. And so we're going to get to pick the brain of someone very, very interesting. And I think he's also an incredible speaker. I've listened to his show a bunch, amazing consultant, and a massively successful entrepreneur. So with that, welcome UJ, and I'm excited.
Thanks, man. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So let's start off, not to take this dark by any means, but you've just experienced something pretty insane, and you were in a crazy motorcycle accident out in Bali, right?
Yeah.
So why don't we kind of just give people a little story, because now they hear that they're like, oh my God, we got to know what happened to him. And then really the reason I'm bringing this up from just a context point of view is I know you're actually in the rehabilitation and healing part. And I know you've said that you've had some amazing insights about body and rehab and all that stuff. So I think that'll be amazing for people, but let's at least take them through how you ended up here.
Sure. So what ended up happening was a good friend of mine. Well, the winter was pretty wild in our part of the world. This was probably one of the harshest winters we experienced, and I want to get the hell out of there as quickly as possible. And what better place to go than Bali? It's sunny all year round. It's beautiful. It's got a ton of entrepreneurs, some people that we know mutually, and I decided to head out there. It was fun. It's a great place. Anyone who wants to check it out, Bali, Indonesia is an awesome place to go to spend a few weeks, even a couple of months there. And so what ended up happening was I'd rented an awesome motorbike, and there's a statement that goes, assumption is the mother of all screw-ups.
Yes.
And what happened was, a few assumptions came together, and I'm usually a careful guy and not reckless. I'm not a massive risk taker, as some people might believe. But I assumed the road went a certain way where it didn't go that way. And I'm a stickler for being on time and making sure that things get done the way they need to get done. And I wanted to meet a few friends at the exact time that I told them. And so I picked up the pace. It was fun. I had a great song in my ear. I was just enjoying it. It was a great experience. Until about a second before the impact, It was unbelievably fun. And so what happened was I was expecting the road to end for me to take the left turn. Turns out the road doesn't end. It keeps going, and it keeps going through the main road. No lights. This is Indonesia. Remember, no lights.
Wow.
No divider. Nothing. So I'm going at a pretty insane pace on the motorcycle. It's a Saturday, so there's not a lot of traffic. So all these factors come together, and a second before I hit the main road, I realized, oh crap, this is the main road.
Wow.
And so I brake with all my being, and I T-bone a car. Thankfully, I T-bone the car doesn't T-bone me. The car T-boned me, I wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yes. Were you wearing a helmet?
Yeah, you better believe it. Yeah, saved my life easily. So, 4 broken ribs, partially collapsed lung on the right side, fractured pelvis, bleeding like crazy, just blood flowing like water. And that's when your body goes into shock. Somehow, I still don't know how this happened, but I got up.
Wow.
I could physically get up. It's probably adrenaline. I kind of stumbled. People helped me move to the side of the road. And this is where the magic happens, right? This is where everything kind of falls into place. Starting that moment, there was a man who didn't know me, had no idea who I was, had no previous association with me, puts me in his car, drives me to emergency. Thankfully, this Balinese man speaks English, right?
Of all the people to meet.
Yeah, thankfully he speaks English, and thankfully I have my backpack on me. Now, I used to call my backpack my life because it was about 15 pounds, and it had everything I needed. My laptop, my Kindle, my passport, money, all this stuff. And thankfully that backpack was with me, it was on me. And he went in the ambulance with me to the hospital, stayed with me, helped me call all my friends locally, abroad, everywhere. Stayed with me till surgery, beyond surgery, for another 12 hours. So, angels exist.
I was going to say angel.
Yeah, exist.
I have chills.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm still in touch with him. He's an incredible human being. Incredible human being. And since then, the care has been phenomenal, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. In the hospitals, friends, family, everybody has been very, very supportive. For the first 10 days, I was horizontal. Basically, I was restricted to two positions, one of which didn't hurt, right? And it's a surreal experience having, being taken into emergency and really experiencing not knowing what you actually have, having people run tests on you. And the one thing I knew, as soon as the painkillers kicked in, which is the first thing you need, you're yelling painkillers. Because you need morphine now, like yesterday. Which is great, by the way. I wouldn't wish this experience on anybody. Morphine's kind of fun. So the first thought that came to my mind is, okay, I have my mind. I don't feel any impact on my spine. My spine's intact. My mind's intact. My hands are intact. I'll be fine. I have my mind. I have my hands. This is cool. I can take care of this. I can work with this. And so thankfully, I had friends in Bali, and spent some time there, made some friends, and they were incredibly supportive throughout the entire thing. And so now I'm in India. My parents are in India, and I need to get independent again, physically independent to be able to do stuff. And so I'm spending several hours in physio every week, eating a shit ton of protein, and learning a lot about how the human body recovers, how I recover, spiritual, mental, physical, emotional recovery.
Let's talk about that, because obviously your mind is really, like I said, very unique and very strong. And we'll talk about the whole gratitude thing in a little bit when we talk about 5-Minute Journal. But I just find it amazing that you lived a certain life, right, so far. And then you have this event. And then you have, like you said, literally an angel. I was going to ask you, is his name on hell or something like that? I thought that would be just like the perfect scenario, right? But it's amazing. I don't know, like what I hear in that story is that, karma, and like we do things in our lives. And then here you were in your time of when you needed people around you the most, and a complete stranger was there. It's almost like you can kind of look back at what you've done so far and be like, okay, I'm doing things the right way, if that's the way that the world came back and supported me. So I just wanted to throw that in there. But what have you been learning inside of your rehab, especially like the strength of mind, tying it into the body, things of that you can share with us?
Well, the first thing is we all have the way we operate, right? Yeah, we'll all have our MO.
Yes.
And the way we like to take control of things. And so for me, my strengths are the physical and the mental.
Okay.
And, the physical, from a biochemistry standpoint, from a physiology standpoint, from a, I read more books in that first month than I read the entire year. It was great.
Catching up.
I was doing much. And I couldn't really do much. I was in this awkward position, so figured might as well take advantage of the situation. And I think recovery is a full being process, and what I mean by that is there is an emotional component and there's a spiritual component, both of which need to be addressed as well. It's been incredible that I'm spending time with family, and that allows you to go deeper with family. And share your fears, your worries, your hopes, your desires, and that's what brings family together. And as you have an incredible relationship with your brother. Something changes when you build deeper bonds with family, especially in times like these, right? So that's the one thing. The spiritual to me is the why, right? It's purpose. It is the reason that we are here. It's creating reality from that inner core of what does all this mean? Because human beings have this insatiable need to make meaning of everything.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if you're an atheist or if you're a Buddhist. It doesn't matter where you're from or the way our brains functions. We need to make meaning of stuff.
Yes.
And everybody's got to do their own introspection, their own work, their own digging to figure out what their why is. And when an event like this happens, you've got to dig deep because you have to rediscover that why. Sometimes, yeah.
Do you think that this event happened? And I know you also believe that everything happens for a reason. So yeah. I really like that you brought up the why and you brought up that angle. Do you believe that your why was being tested? Because to me, from the outside, your why seems like you understand it and know it very clearly. Like you've created your life around your why. Do you feel like this was testing your why, giving you a new cut at your why, or giving you a completely different why?
So here's what here's what's true in my experience. When life happens, right? Life is throws things at you.
Yeah.
Right? Throws. So sometimes it's at level easy, sometimes it's at level difficult, right? Like it's like a video game in a sense, right? And the fact is, there is no such thing as a positive or negative experience.
Yes.
There's no such thing. Like it's your perception that creates all of this stuff.
Yep.
Right? When your perception, when your awareness isn't able to match the level that life throws at you, it becomes a quote-unquote negative experience. So your awareness actually has to rise to match the same level of intensity that life throws at you.
Yep.
And then you can consciously meet it. And yes, it might suck, and yes, it might be painful, and yes, this might not be what exactly you want right now. But if you can clear that out of your head and say, you know what, this is it. And this is it, and you know what, it's dealable. I don't have brain damage. It's amazing. Incredible. God, my instincts.
Wow.
I love this. I can deal with this.
Yeah.
I have my family with me. It's incredible. And so if you look at, and this is something that anybody can do, really. If you're in a position where, the situation really looks not good or hopeless or whatever you want to call it, sit down, make a list of 100 things that are good. And it gets started with, the sun rises in the east.
Yeah.
And you just keep going and you find you get momentum. There's always something that's good. There's always something you can work on. There's always an angle you can use.
Yeah.
And that's always training. It's training for when that experience hits you. Because all of life to me is training for these black swan events. right? All of life is training for these unforeseeable events, right? And how you react, how your friends react, how strangers react is a test of how you trained.
Yeah, I agree.
And so that's kind of my take on it.
Interesting.
And,
Now, do you also so basically what you're saying is your why got tested, and now it's like the world threw something at you so that you can practice all the training. It's like, we have all these things where like practice. It throws you in the ring every once in a while to be like, you got this or you got this. I mean, you're handling it incredibly well. The other side of that, I guess, is always when these events happen, I kind of have this belief that the world is always trying to teach us something. And we kind of have to have the eyes to see the lessons. If you don't see the lesson, it'll just send like a bigger animal to come maul you. And if you don't see that, it just gets, et cetera, et cetera. Have you asked yourself, like, what's the lesson here? What was, because this is like a pretty big fucking thing, right? That comes at you. This is not like some little kitty cat. Have you had time to just think about, well, what is the lesson? Like, why did this happen? What's the takeaway here for me?
Yeah. Well, the first thing is, and this is almost metaphorical, but slow down. Right? Brilliant. Slow down.
Brilliant.
It's okay. You can get it all done. You'll get the most important thing done for sure.
I love it.
And so that was a big one, because
I love that.
We always like to go fast.
Yeah. It's actually the reason when I was, how old was I? I was 19 years old. And it was the first time a buddy of mine had a Ducati. And I'd never ridden a bike. And he's like, come, I'll take you, just sit on the back. We'll go, whatever. Yeah. And it was and I just bought a car, like my first car ever. I literally came home. I was like, Mom, Dad, I'm selling the car. Like, I'm buying a bike. I'm like, no fucking way. And I was really upset. And then one of the things, like, I'm an adrenaline junkie. Like, I love fast cars, all that kind of stuff. And I just know that I don't have that line really to like slow myself down, like you said. Right. Yeah. And on a bike, it's just so much easier to go way past that line, like in an instant. Yeah. So I basically said to myself, like, I can never own a bike that I can drive on the street. Like, I would love to own a bike and take it to a racetrack or something and just have it parked there. But I was like, knowing me, so I was like 21 and I just made a conscious decision. I was like, that cannot be part of my existence. Like, I will kill myself.
Yeah. The other thing is, you're not invincible.
Yes.
Right.
Brilliant.
And it's easy. Like, I'll be frank with you. I'm a lucky guy. I consider myself incredibly lucky.
Yeah.
And I've had a fair degree of close calls, and I have good instincts. At least I feel I have good instincts on the bike. And I'm not kidding you. 5 minutes before, I was nailing every turn. It was beautiful. I was in flow. But sometimes your instincts aren't going to save you. Yeah. Right. Certainly, like there's a lot of variables when you're on two wheels. That is a very tricky thing. And invincibility is not something humans possess.
Not yet.
Exactly.
So, real last question to wrap this up. You getting back on a bike?
Eventually, yes. I don't think, you know what? The bike was never to blame. The bike is just an inanimate thing. This is an inanimate thing. Like the person who was writing it wasn't thinking straight. And the information that he was thinking wasn't accurate. Yeah. And so for me, the most important thing is to learn to ride a bike. I know the next time I'm going to get on a bike, my heart rate is probably going to exceed 120. Yeah. Right. It's still going to thump in my heart. It's going to be racing. And it's important for me to not be afraid of things irrationally.
Yeah,
right?
I love
that. I'm going to probably go 20 or 40, not going to exceed 50.
Yeah.
Most definitely, right? But I don't want to be afraid of something that I shouldn't be afraid of.
Yeah, brilliant.
And so
awesome.
That's the plan.
Brilliant. Anything else you want to say about that experience before we switch topics?
Well, it's still happening. Right?
It's still happening.
It's still happening, right? There's a lot. It's interesting. There's a great book by Ryan Holiday called "The Obstacle Is the Way," and I recommend it to people who are interested in flipping what seems like a difficult situation. And in that, he gives examples of several individuals, right, who, like I was mentioning, met life with their awareness. They had to significantly increase their awareness to meet life. Great things happen because without that, you're never going to have that training tool.
Yes,
you're just not going to have it.
Yeah,
life. You're going to have an easy life, and easy lives are great. I've nothing against it, but training is sometimes hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes it sucks. And sometimes at the end of the workout, you wish you weren't there, but you grow for it.
Yeah.
And
there's also something to be said about attaining a level of mastery at something. And I always tell people, like, until you can teach someone else, you've never mastered that thing. But in order to do that, like, we're big Facebook marketing guys, so we train a lot of people around it. But I can tell people how to avoid the mistakes and all of that kind of stuff. But ultimately, they're going to have to make their own version of that mistake, because that's the only time they're ever going to truly understand that they've mastered that thing and they can repeat it. To learn things in theory, things like you said, did slow down never occur to you in life? Like, that's not something that you didn't know, right?
Yeah.
You've had those thoughts multiple times. Like, I'm probably whatever. It kind of crystallizes things when you have the experience, and then it's, figuratively and I guess in this literally in your bones. So it's amazing. It's just, I'm always kind of thinking like why things happen to people and certain people. And it's very different having a conversation with someone who's so mentally aware in a situation like this. First, you've had friends where like, I'm sorry to say this, but like, people get cancer, people get really sick or whatever. And you have conversation with them and it almost feels like they're just missing the point. And I just love that you have this completely different perspective on everything. And you've managed to stay so grateful and positive through all that. So it's just amazing. Thank you for sharing.
There's a lot to be grateful for. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. What an amazing story, right? About perseverance, mental strength, even the vision to just see yourself in that moment and see the lessons that you need to learn from something so tragic. I think it is so, so crucial for people to develop the eyes to actually look at the things that happen around them and realize that, yes, this is a lesson. And yes, this happened for a reason. Why? Why did this occur? What is the lesson here? How am I supposed to improve, etc. from that instance? And UJ absolutely knocks it out of the park in that realm. So that's the end of part one. In part two, we're going to actually delve into UJ's major project, which you guys have all heard about, the 5-minute journal. I shared this in a previous podcast. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So make sure you tune in for that. And lastly, we actually talk about how to never plan farther than 6 months. So if you want to know how to set goals that are 6 months or less and still achieve your life's dream and purpose, then make sure you listen to part two. So we'll end part one right there. Thank you all so much for listening. As always, if you're enjoying these podcasts, head over to our iTunes page, leave us a rating, comment, and review. We'd love to hear from you. Have an amazing day, everyone. We'll see you on the next Performance Enhancing Podcast.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Performance Enhancing Podcast. We've taken this pep talk and created a custom action guide so you know exactly what action steps to take now to grow your business. Just head over to satoriprime.com/podcast and download it for free. Also, please leave a comment and rate this podcast on iTunes. It'll help us get the word out. Thanks for listening. Now, go and implement. We'll see you next time.